This is one day. My day normally starts with walking down the shoulder of I-5. I'm hanging out with Dane as we walk towards the bridge.
That's been sitting in my
We're
truck
talking
the whole
shop.
freaking job because, you know, just this little thing does fine for me.
Generally, you know, you talk about work, or with Dane, I like to talk about sports. I like the Mariners. He likes the Mariners, and we're watching
This bolt bag also.
the pennant race closely as far as the wild card.
I used to jam it in here, but now there's like a hole in the bottom. Oh yeah.
And we're talking about where to put a wrench. It's that simple. Where to put a wrench.
Oh, you can't imagine how conscious
now
I am.
We talk about
when I'm working on the water side of the deck,
idea of losing a tool in the river, which we've both done. Because we both have very expensive hammers. We both have $200 plus hammers. I am under the bridge, approaching. This is Pier 2. That's Jack.
Where's the stash?
He usually supplies me with sunflower seeds every day.
This side, I'm gonna work the other.
That's Max I'm talking to. I'm understanding that I'll be on the south side of Pier Phase 2, where we're going to be working. Now, what we're doing is what is known as core drilling. It's a boring process which utilizes a hollow tube filled with water that cuts through concrete, but primarily steel. We're setting plates on the side of the pier there. You can see some of this stuff. And if you run into steel, you have to go through it. You cannot drill another hole somewhere else. We're going to set up our core drill, do a lot of core drilling. One of the items I need is a vacuum. Max is asking me to get a vacuum from across the river.
Oh yeah.
So here's the vacuum. I'm cleaning it out, and this is the muck that comes out of a core drilling process that needs to be contained. The state of Oregon does not want us to contaminate the river in any way. We do our best to contain all concrete and mud. Here's the pump that we'll be using to supply water for the drill.
Taking the pump. I'll get the
We just pump water right out of the river. We do not allow the contaminated river water, you know, to return. We vac it. Here we are. I got the water, I got the hose, and here's the core drill and carriage. And we need to mount this carriage on the side of the pier so that we can horizontally bore the hole. That involves drilling a hole in the wall, which Brian there's going to give me that's the bit we're going to use to bore a hole, to use what's called a Titan, which is a bolt without a nut. We'll drive this Titan through the hole, and it'll hold the carriage and the core drill, which rides on it. We're placing the carriage in a position so that you see the tubular bore bit. We're setting that over a hole that we need to clear. Brian is lining up where he wants the bore, and then at some point I'm going to mark and then drill. There's my rotor hammer, and I'm going to drill this hole out for the Titan, and then we can mount the carriage, get the boring process going. So there's the Titan. I just picked it up, and I'm gonna set the Titan with a rattle gun. It's not something you can do by hand, so you have to drive it in with ratchet gun, rattle gun, ratchet gun. I'm gonna get that ready. This process I can't do by myself. There's my vacuum, which I had retrieved from the other side of the river, and I lowered down on this rope so that I didn't have to carry it completely all the way. At a point where I can't progress alone, I come and see what's going on the north side of Pier 2. See the same operation. Everything's multiplied by 4 in the sense that there's 2 piers and a north and a south side. Basically what you see what I'm going to be doing, we're ready to set this thing. Max is explaining to me that the bits themselves are hollow and water runs through them, and he was giving me an idea of how to clear that bit after a bore. Jack puts the Titan in the hole. Max provides the rattle. We're excited because it's a lot of work. I mean, it's just a lot of setup. There's so many look at all these moving parts. Pump, hose, water, not including the core drill, but there's also a roto hammer and the rattle gun. So now we're discussing the exact location. We want to finalize. Now we're just finalizing the precise location of where we want that core bit to go. We've got an existing hole with a steel or iron obstruction that we need to get through. We're going to line up the bit precisely with the hole. We're going to bore it out to 8 inches. You like where it's at. The water I'm testing the water, and you see me turning the knob. That's a variable water control. To contain the water, we need the vac, which I previously had. The water comes from the river through the pump into the hose, through the bit, and then out into the vacuum. We contain it all. This is it. We're running. The vacuum's going. I want the cords out of any sort of water. The core drill is spinning. Water is going through the bit and out the wall or out the hole, and that.
I don't feel
no
anything.
panic.
Nothing.
Just check your sources. There we go. So this is the basic idea: is to do this. I don't know, 20, 30 times. But I'm checking the water to make sure we have enough. I've done this kind of core drilling before, but I do bring my own experience to the task.
This is what I used to do with, the rotohammer bits. When I had to go 8 inches, at first I just had one at 8 inches, and then I realized if I put a couple others, I could watch the distance between the. So I'll put a couple.
This is where I really enjoy my job. Having never done something before, I can still bring my own experience to it while learning what it is that is asked of me. Because believe me, they want me to do this core drilling. I find it very easy and simple, don't get me wrong, but I've never done it before. I need to know what it is that, how the whole operation works.
2, 4, 6, and 8. So that's the.
Here we are with the marks.
We want to go.
Now, as we get this drilling going, and I'm standing there with my vacuum, I can now see where we're going, how far we're going, and how fast we're getting, how fast it is it's going. Because at this point, I want so much to know when it is we hit the steel and when it is we get through the steel. I can utilize my tape.
5 inches, we're 5 inches deep.
So knowing that the mark is 6 inches, and that mark, my tape measure tells me 1, I know that the bit is 5 inches into the wall.
5 1/8.
We are hauling ass. Dave is a laborer. He's here to empty my vac. I'm turning the system off, turning the water off, turning the vacuum off, and I'm gonna open it up. We need to get rid of that, and we can't just dump it in the river.
That tub over there? Is that what that tub's for?
Well, that's what I thought, but Max wants me to take it around somewhere.
What the fuck? I'm trying to work here. Hey, bring that tub over here.
I'm not going to put up with
it. Put it in there for now.
And I'm going to tell him what I want to do so that I can get back to work. And I'm back to the paint pen to remark. All right, we've moved on to the point where we need to move the carriage vertically up the wall, and it's very heavy. We have this come along at the top of the wall. We strap it to the carriage. We set our planks so that we can move up to the next level. I'm going to crank this thing into position so that we can reset the core bit. Brian's there to help position it. So he's asked me to bring it down. We're going to get this thing lowering. I'm lowering the come along. Brian likes where it's at. We're gonna rattle the tighten into position. We've reset. That was the second set right there, so that we like exactly where the bit is. And by the way, if you notice, that's a new bit. Brand spanking new, all red paint. And by now I'm only putting a 6 and an 8 mark. I'm not putting a 2-4. At this point, I'm also wiring the vacuum to the carriage so that I don't have to hold it. And you see how I've got the vacuum hands-free, and I'm literally just sitting around holding a tape measure. Pretty soon, I'm going to be doing this all by myself. Here we are. This is after hours of work. Obviously, you see several holes have been drilled, at least 8. I've gotten to a point from never having operated, a piece of equipment to I consider mastering it. I can run this thing by myself. I'm confident. I've come up with methods that other people, I don't know. I mean, on the other side of the wall, there's a guy holding the vacuum hose where I have mine wired to the carriage. It's that sound. You hear that high-pitched squealing? That's what I'm listening for. There's a real tune to that handle, sound, water flow, and it's after hours of just working with the piece of equipment that I come to that.